Good evening, everybody. Welcome to part 2 of the Flipper List. Joining me today again, Eric. As always, thank you, my friend. How are you?
And thank you, my friend. I'm well. I'm on a high. The deeper one gets into this, um, it's like reading a script, and the more you read over certain words, the deeper you're taken in, the more you understand, and yet the more you want to know.
There's always something new with this case, isn't there, Eric? I mean, without going into too much detail, we found some things in the last few weeks, me and you, and one other person which will remain unnamed. We've got some further shows to do, haven't we? With
Yeah.
some previously unseen stuff.
Oh, one other person has been very, very helpful, and he's part of the team, and that's a true meaning, not sentimentality. And this man or this woman, whomever this person is, certainly not artificial intelligence, loves to help. He's a part of the team, very peaceful, stoic person. You'd think he was like a Franciscan monk or a Buddhist contemplative, very calm, kind. But we have unforeseen material that maybe somebody out there has seen it, but I guarantee 99% of you haven't. And if those of you who are within the over 99% who have seen it, why have you not revealed it? Very revealing items.
Oh, Eric, I mean, this case is nearly 50 years old and stuff is still coming out. Like Steve's just said, it never ends, does it?
Yeah. What month? It was April. It was April when Donna Lauria, known as Donna Lauria, and Jody Valente were shot. It was in April, or was it after that?
July.
July, right, in July. April was.
July 29th.
That's right. And I'm thinking of April because I was looking at the Wendy Savino shooting case, and that was in April.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be 50 years. It's hard to think that I was around 50 years ago.
50 years this year, exactly.
That's
in
right.
a matter of months.
Yeah. Do people realize 50 years means half a century?
And that's crazy that, I mean, I know people are still talking about Jack the Ripper, and that was in the late 1800s. I mean, chances are people will still be talking about this case in 100 years' time.
Oh, yeah, of course they are. Of course they're going to talk about it. And one of the good things about talking about murder cases, I know somebody said to me, using certain scatological language, which I won't repeat, do you think anybody cares about the Wendy Savino case? Well, I think a lot of people care, and her case and every other murder case or attempted murder case or abduction of an adult or a child, every case that has taken place should never endingly be spoken about, investigated, as long as it's not for exploitation, because it could happen. It's one of our fellow human beings who've been attacked by an evil force.
Exactly, Eric.
And,
nobody deserves to be shot the way Wendy was shot. Whoever shot her.
Yeah, whoever did. And I will make a criticism of someone, not the person you'd think I'd criticize. May I name somebody to criticize? Huh? Or you're afraid of the polemic? I mean, it's that we can't be hurt by her.
No.
But
no one we both know then.
Well, we know, but it's not somebody who thinks that she's a detective and judge.
Okay, yep. Okay, I get you. Yep.
The tattooed babe, and I have nothing against tattoos, Dana, who made a vulgar thing of the Savino family just based upon newspaper cuttings and not knowing profoundly what's behind the curtains of Oz.
That's why you have to be very careful, Eric.
That's right. That's right. You have to say, this is what the newspaper has reported. Fine. But it doesn't end there, nor does it necessarily begin there.
And we know newspapers can make mistakes.
Oh, God in heaven, they can. So many mistakes. So
Hi,
many.
Patrick. Hi, Steve.
There is a famous case here in New York that people in the law study and in psychology, the Kitty Genovese case of the young lady in Brooklyn attacked by a man, and he came back an hour later to finish the job, and she was screaming and screaming. The police never arrived. One man wrote an article, I think, in the New York Times saying it didn't happen that way. It was all false. But her brother made a film, which I've yet to see. It was provided to me by a friend of ours. And so, there's also a lot of sick minds out there who, if you differ with them just on even one point, they start to say you're a controlled opposition, you are dissonance, and
You've got a handler.
yeah, whatever crap they have, a handler. Yeah, as if somebody handling you and I, right? Somebody's going to handle you and I. What are we doing? What are we changing in society?
May I just take a moment, Eric, to thank you for joining me on these shows, because I sometimes don't feel I can do this on my own. I'm not going to lie. I don't feel comfortable doing these things on my own. So to have you out by my side, Eric, means a lot. You're like Grandpa Grimm. Grimpa.
Grandpa?
No, Grimpa. You're like Grandpa Grimm of Conspiracy Theory World. Eric, I appreciate you so much. And many others do too, because I've rejoined the Son of Sam 2 Facebook group, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that many have been sharing our videos, particularly Patrick Thomas. Thank you very much. And there was lots of positive comments on there.
Oh,
Neo
great.
makes great points. You make great points, Eric. So thank you, Eric.
Yeah, now that's how I met you, because that was originally started by Leash, and I joined it. Towards the end, before I left, she wanted me to be an administrator, but then you came along and helped her out with it.
Yes.
And
that's how I met you, Eric. Yep.
Yeah. I left the real, they had so many names. There was one who was religious who knocked me off. Caldonaro has one. I always get confused, the official, the unofficial. And then, of course, there was Gwen Doreen Kuberneses.
Yeah, Son of Sam Connections, Son of Sam Discussions or something.
That's where I had some discussions with Wheat Car. And
Patrick Thomas says the learned library of knowledge and releaser of the files, the one and only Eric G.
Yeah. And I
know what people think about that, Eric. I applaud you for doing that, my friend.
Yeah. And like I said, I did not release what they call the files, basically a file with many, many documents. Computer language is different. I did not release those to do anything against Manny Grossman. Everybody knows that. I did not do it against him. I discovered what they were later. And I saw that he and I did an exceptional show. Many times we were just excellent, he and I. And an exceptional show he and I did, in which later on Neo Yes the One streamed in. But before that, Manny is saying, please, if anybody has Maury Terry Son of Sam files, let's see them, release them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think of it at the time. I didn't even know about that. I didn't have whatever at the time. I didn't even know that people had gone to Connecticut to Mr. Joshua Zeman's home. I had
what spurred you on to do it, really, Eric? What made you think, right, I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm just gonna release them? Because I was scared when I first got them. I was a little bit scared. I'm not going to lie. And then I was like, this is actually not good.
Well, when I saw them and I saw what was there, I said, something made me say, but wait a minute. If we're going on for so long with these files, and this is nothing against Manny now, okay? Because there was this non-disclosure agreement, and I truthfully don't even understand why Joshua Zeman had people sign that. And I said to myself, but wait, how is it possible that we're talking about this subject, this subject within the main subject, this, and there's these other files, these other documents, and immense police reports and things. I said, well, why? It doesn't make sense to go forward and to be wondering. So a crime reporter who's really had taken it on the chin many times, said, you don't owe Manny anything. And I didn't think I owed Manny anything, and nor did I want to hurt anybody. And I thought about it, and I released them initially to someone. And then I said, wait a minute, this is a mess. So I retitled everything. And the four main people who scanned, I took their names away, and I put inner folders from what they scanned, and I called it the bizarre prohibition of.
Yeah, you did great work.
Yeah,
tidying them up, Eric.
And I properly titled the police reports.
Mm-hmm.
Really now, just to say quickly, as I said before, people have to understand, because you can't let the computer and artificial intelligence take away your human tongue. It's one file, I'm not lying through my teeth. I didn't know exactly what was in there, Manny. I'm terribly sorry. Yes, you gave them to me. Okay. I knew that you went to Connecticut long before. I didn't know what went on there. And you told me, Manny, that for some reason, Caldenaro and Maximilian Häusler started to plot against you there. I don't lie. When I say I didn't know about people going to Connecticut, you didn't tell me that immediately, but I knew you people had gone to Connecticut after I received the files. Before that, I didn't know anything about Connecticut or Joshua Zeman, because you were criticizing Joshua Zeman. You're a very intelligent man. You're talented, but you self-destruct, Manny. And I'm saying this for your own good. In the beginning, you didn't like Joshua Zeman.
Carry on, Eric.
No, because I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but I have to speak up. I don't lie. I have faults. I always used to say poetically, I'll murder somebody before I ever lie. But
not literally.
Sorry, Manny, I'm not out to hurt you. I don't lie through my teeth. I've got everything documented. And Eric, I don't hold it against people.
I think a lot of people applaud you for doing what you do, Eric. It is what it is. You can't change the past.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. Let it go, Manny.
There's one question you should ask. Why does Joshua Zeman give these files to a group of people and have you sign non-disclosure agreements when people have been murdered, and those files out in the open could have helped many, including members of those families? Does Joshua Zeman still have more files? Does he have tapes? He told me. I don't dislike him. We had almost 3 hours, not even scheduled by chance. I thought it was a group audio call messenger, and he was eager to speak with me. He even said he's heard the John Tiny Lentini tapes, not transcripts. Where are these John Tiny Lentini tapes? Where are they?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm just gonna say anyways.
And he even told me, well, the non-disclosure agreement really wasn't that important. That's what he told me.
Do you think Josh really wanted these files released? Hence, I mean, it was risky letting more than a few people have these files. I mean, Do you think he intentionally wanted one day for these files to be released, but he didn't want to be the one to do it?
I don't know. I really do not know. I mean, you have to. This crime reporter said to me. She said to me, "Well, he has to. He has to. He if he still has more files, maybe he wants to make a follow-up film. But no, Joshua doesn't want to make a follow-up film. I've seen his films; they're excellent. He knows how to. He's an excellent filmmaker.
Excellent.
I haven't seen the film he made about the poor animals killed in Ukraine and the zoos and everything. That would just tear my heart to pieces. I mean, of course, I feel for the people, but
Steve says, what happened to Godella? Missing in action.
Oh, Cordell is still around. He wanted to telephone me, or I should say cell phone me, but it didn't happen. He's engaged, and every now and then I hear from Cordella. And you see, this is the thing. What is the purpose of hiding? There are family members who can't even get police reports. Do you realize that? What is the purpose of hiding these things?
Patrick says, why the secrecy? Where are the tiny tapes?
I don't know. Well, whatever was of John Tiny Lentini, any type of documentation, audio or not, was lost, because unless people have heard Mike Cordella speak on this French-American boy, Camp Magnon. He looks like he's in a military fatigue and like a tent. And he gave a 3-hour interview with Cordella. And Cordella is very well spoken on it. You could see that he warmed up and he's used to speaking publicly now. Cordella was within 9/11. The building came down on him. He was outside the building. He was covered in black. It was only figuratively a miracle of a man coming out who carries those lamps that you set up, who said, follow the light, follow the light. He lost all his papers, everything.
Terrible.
Tom Potts, Tiny Lentini, everything was lost.
Forensics of Evil says, I think some of the files reveal that Maury Terry ran into several dead ends that I've worked over.
Well,
yes.
Show us the unending dead, Forensics of Evil. So
thanks, Tracy. Patrick says, I dig that tent studio he has. What does that mean?
Oh, the fella, Camp Magnon.
Oh, okay. Yep. I like him. Yep.
Yeah, he interviewed Cordella.
Yes.
And
he does a lot on ancient civilizations. I like his channel.
Oh, he does? Yes. I know one of the historians of that has written a lot of stuff about that, Frank Joseph.
Building 7 had many files from all kinds of federal folks.
Mm-hmm.
Forensics of Evil, a lot of them are partial and loads of chicken scratch to stare at for hours.
Forensic of Evil, be careful, because what is scratched as a note, even one word, is a thought from the mind of an investigator. Don't discard anything, nothing.
Shall we get started on this flipper list, Eric?
Yes. This is we did it 2 weeks ago, the first one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Steve,
did you find where we left off?
Steve, keep your eyes peeled, Steve, because I'll be in another screen, okay? So I won't be able to see the chat. So, Steve, keep your eyes peeled, okay? What did you say, Eric?
Did you find where we left off last time?
I did. Yep.
Yeah, the one thing I have to say, it's very interesting, the number 75. Now, it's a kind of symbolic thing, but the fact of the matter is that there's 75 who could flip, according to him. But if I remember last time, we said the only one that really emphasized a possible flip was Speranza, Richard Speranza, if you remember. But there's a lot of names I never knew of there. But then 75, and then there's 75, the other 75 names at what became an affidavit when David Berkowitz put his signature to it, which are completely different names. Okay, I'm enlarging the screen, so I won't be seeing the comments all the time, but I'll be coming back and forth.
Do you want me to zoom in anymore?
Oh yeah, this is great. This is great.
All right. So we've got someone I've never heard of. Doc John Vario, Northeast Bronx, Untermeyer Park cult associate, along with Sunshine, first ID'd by the artist at Untermeyer. Doc, like Sunshine, lived in the Donnelly neighborhood and dealt crystal meth there in the mid-1970s. Not yet contacted.
Okay, now this is the whole thing. He says he's a cult associate, and then he says identified by the artist. I guess he's talking about Billy the artist or somebody.
Yes, Billy. Billy, definitely Billy.
Yeah. Now, a cult associate, that's a broad term.
Very broad.
Yeah, I mean these are all. Go ahead, eggs.
Eggs, Northeast Bronx. Eggs was also called Noodles. Per an official Bronx source, he's almost certainly von Mueller or Mueller. DB's friend from childhood days involved in the cult. The artist once drove him back from the Bronx from Untermeyer in June of 76. Brother John Paul also had met him back in 69 or so and stated he was part of the Co-op City cult crowd.
Now that's interesting because I'm not discarding the artist or Brother John Paul, but if it is Billy the artist, I just don't like the type of sometimes smirks they have on their face. You know what I mean? It's their decorum. There's something that it's almost as if they're wearing a mask to hide that they're laughing at somebody.
Well, yeah, that he's just a street guy, isn't he? I mean, he's not going to be the most honest of individuals, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why he gets a lot of stick, because they're like, well, he said he's most quite a dishonest person, and they're like, well, how do we know he's not lying to Manny? So,
yeah, that's right. But
yeah.
Brother John Paul, there you're dealing with somebody really who was really in the thick of it here and there. So go ahead.
It is believed Muller's family owned the old Pelham Bake Shop on Bure Avenue, not far from Donna Laurie's address of 2860 Bure Avenue. Mueller was still friendly with DB after DB returned from the army in June of 74 and moved to 2161 Barnes Avenue, Bronx, where he lived until moving to the Casara home in New Rochelle in February 76. Mueller likely played a big role in introducing DB to the cult. Not yet known if Eggs was at Son of Sam's scene. DB is protective of him. Mueller was well known by a Yonkers cop who grew up with him and DB, etc. Neither Mueller or the cop have yet been contacted. Mueller's current location not yet established.
Now, is Mueller Eggs?
It's funny, because there's a dairy company over here called Mueller. I wonder if there's any connection. I think it might be a German company.
Oh, yeah, he's claiming that Eggs is von Mueller or von Mueller. And did anybody ever discover, like, Neos from Yonkers City, who the Yonkers cop is that grew up with? Wait. Well, grew up, that means from childhood, unless they're referring to who would it be?
I've heard this Eggs character before, but I've never heard of a childhood friend of David's, this Mueller character. Can't know everything though, Eric, though, right?
Yeah, there's a video that was done on True Crime File Son of Sam by Manny on Eggs before I ever came along. Charles E. White, Connecticut. May I read this?
Yes, go ahead.
A Connecticut bank robber in 84, involved with the cult in the 70s, was at Untermeyer Park and Gardens, bars, parties, etc. with cult members. Friends with the cause. Identified by Conway and other sources. And Maury Terry, MT, first got his plate at the car home in late 77 and again in 79. That's when Maury, first time in a snowstorm, uh, got a photograph of the license plates outside the car home. His plate was also taken at John Carr's wake, February 78. White, also known by a witness in Connecticut, who placed him with another cult member, Billy Oakes, remotely possible White, or it should be possibly White, remotely possible White, attended Bronx Community College at the same time as David Berkowitz, spring 75, and been in one of his classes, student identification on hand, now in Connecticut, not yet contacted. I wonder how many of these people he followed up and did contact.
It's a lot of names, Eric.
Yeah.
Witness list, 28th of August, 1997. And you got to remember, Eric, this is around the same time he's putting this book together that we went over, right?
That's right. Those two. Well, there's two. Yeah, that book and another one, and it's very.
I Am the Son of Sam.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody is going to put that up on book sites like Advanced Book. All of them, Biblio. They all had the international standard book numbers. They all had titles, and they had major publishers. There was Doubleday. I think there was St. Martin's Press. Those are big publishers. So, what really happened? We don't know.
So, Billy Oakes, Connecticut. Billy was a former Bronx resident who lived in the Middleton, Connecticut area during Son of Sam, worked in a Connecticut psychiatric hospital, and played in a band in Connecticut with the above-mentioned Charlie White. Billy made an important statement implicating himself to a non-involved witness in fall 76. A witness, Bob Willett, who can testify against Oakes. Billy Oakes is not believed to have been at any Son of Sam scenes. Not yet contacted, currently located in western US. So he's saying here, Billy Oakes is not believed to have been at any Son of Sam scenes.
So he would be important as a non-involved witness in fall 76. But there's a Bob Willett who would testify against him. Okay. Pedro Pete Perez Yonkers. Pete was a cult member who was not at Son of Sam scenes, as he ran into other problems just before Son of Sam began. Identified in June 76 by the Untermeyer artist, Pete was a very close friend of major Son of Sam player Norman Zilberstein. Pate subsequently went to jail along with Norman's sister, Patricia. Yeah, I remember seeing news cuttings on that about Patricia.
Can I just make a point here? When Mr. Grossman first interviewed Billy in one of the videos, I think I remember Billy denying that he drew the sketch of Pete Perez. I may be wrong, but here we have Maury saying that Billy did do that sketch of Pete. Because if you look in Maury's files, there's a really weird sketch of someone that looks like it's been done with biro pen. And I'm pretty sure Billy said he didn't do that. But here we have Maury saying he did sketch Pete. So.
And he's getting this information supposedly from the artist.
Yeah, and this is 97 when Billy did the interview for A&E. Pete, go on, Eric. You finish it.
Yeah, she murdered her ex-boyfriend, Miss Pat Silberstein, in Mount Vernon. Norman was a major suspect in that murder too, but neither Pete or Pat would implicate him. Patricia Silberstein herself had interactions with the cult and was actually in David Berkowitz's junior high school class in the Bronx years before. Pete Perez's two brothers also can most likely be used as witnesses in this case, as both have knowledge of certain relevant events. Neither Pete's brothers nor Pete himself have been contacted yet. This is what makes me nervous with Terry. If I knew these people, I would have been on to them right away and wanted to interview them. And the I think maybe Maury's personality sometimes also prevented him from getting the interviews he wanted. You know what I mean? He was kind of I don't know how he questioned people, except for David Berkowitz, but I know John Deal threw him out of his house. Um,
Yeah.
I know Rothstein said, well, he couldn't gain their confidence, but I mean,
I should
and
think
then,
maybe these people were probably quite hard to get hold of too, Eric.
oh
You
yeah,
know, they're probably moving around a lot, homeless, a lot of them,
yeah.
no telephones.
To be fair, yes. So he's just getting these names, but the cult. So this is the Son of Sam cult. The cult.
I presume so.
Hmm.
There's lots of cults in Maury's notes. There's the Co-op City cult. There's the Son of Sam cult. There's the Yonkers cult. There's the
But sometimes they seem to be all heaped together as one cult.
Yes. You got the children. You got the 22. You got the New York chapter.
Well, the only other one who kind of does that, but he's more explicit in naming them, is in Caparelli's book. It's David Berkowitz, by saying that the children were part of a larger organization.
It's very jumbled up, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think because far too many people receive information, but they don't ask questions.
I think it would have been more believable had it been less people. I think that's where Maury went wrong, trying to tie far too many people to this case.
Oh, yeah.
If he just kept it under maybe 15, 10, 15.
Yeah. Well, you see, the moment he hears of cult, murder, or the occult, I'm sure that I'm going to take a chance to say, I'm sure there's a lot of people here who have nothing to do with the Son of Sam. Because it's like when I spoke to, as I've told you before, Yonkers detective Alfred Cavallari, and he was also a magician. And he laughed because Maury was trying to say that he was involved in something dark because of his license plate, Magic-12. Whereas the man was a stage magician, a conjurer, and he was trying to convince Assistant District Attorney Tom McCarthy of Queens about this. At the end of the day, I've said it before, that he was overwhelmed with the material, and he kept to himself, except for certain times when he had Chinotti with him, which was not all the time, as people may think. And on the other hand, I just think he got carried away with putting every single crime, as I had said to Manny on one show, every single crime together as the Son of Sam. He discovered crimes, but they're not all the Son of Sam.
Yeah, it's like I've said before, Eric. If all these people had inside information, well, they've sure kept it a tight lip over the last 50 years.
Yeah. I mean, this woman murdered her boyfriend, and that doesn't mean it was a Son of Sam hit.
Do you know where you left off?
Yeah, you take it from Alfonso Carrozza.
Okay. Now I do know that name.
Oh, yes.
Alfonso Carrozza, Yonkers. Carrozza operated pizza joints on White Plains Road in the Bronx, relevant area, and later in New Rochelle. During Son of Sam, he lived at 22 Wicker Street in the Pine Street neighborhood. He was a cousin of Joseph Carrozza, who was murdered on his yacht in a New Rochelle marina on New Year's Eve, 81. Unsolved case. DB, along with others, had been on Carrozza's yacht. There is physical evidence of the relationship between Alfonso and Joe Carrozza. At one point, Joseph underwrote a loan to Alfonso for the purchase of an oven for the Bronx pizza place.
Now, is that true? Has research been done on this? I think a lot of
I'm not sure, Eric.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
It is strongly suspected there are big-time drug links in the Carosa camp, possibly even tied to the later pizza connection case. Also in this part of the picture is Paddy Snow, a New Rochelle coke dealer and auto shop owner. The Susan Levy Gala Signorelli Minutulo Sunshine, that's a mouthful. Sunshine chain also may tie in here. It's amazing, isn't it? And probably does. Alfonso lived at 22 Wicker, as did cult associate Robin D. Acutis. It's possible they lived together in this 2 or 3 family house. Alfonso not yet contacted. So Maury has got basically everyone in the vicinity of Wicker Street and Warburton Avenue tied to this case, isn't he?
Yeah, but to be fair to him, these are his wandering thoughts.
Well, you got Glassman, you got the Nettos, you got the Carosas.
He's put them down as, notice that there's the word, it's possible. There's always possibilities. So these are his private thoughts. I mean, 99% of these people are not in the ultimate evil. These are his private thoughts.
A lot of thoughts.
Pondering who it could be. We're looking at it historically after the fact. This was never published. This was something private. What was going on in his mind about people he had learned of or been told of. But anyway, Billy Cohen, Wappinger's Fall. Billy was a cult associate and fringe member who is said not to have been involved in the Son of Sam case itself and to have removed himself from the group at some point before David Berkowitz's arrest. Billy was a nut job whose father was an official in Sheet Metal Workers Local 38 or 13, that's a union, out of Peekskill. Billy worked construction with David Berkowitz in White Plains. Fall 76, winter 77. I had overlooked that Berkowitz worked in construction.
Mm-hmm.
I had overlooked
many jobs.
Yeah. Co-workers told Maury Terry that David Berkowitz and Billy were very close pals and once left work together to get a shepherd at an animal shelter. Verified by David Berkowitz. It was the Elmsford shelter. Yeah, I know of the Elmsford shelter. Page 9 now of the witness list. Same year, same day.
Alwyn Nickel, Northeast Bronx. Nickel was a cult member and close friend of major Son of Sam player Norman Silverstein. Nickel was with Norman in Manhattan on 6/12/77 at the height of Son of Sam when they were busted with a loaded .44 Charter Arms Bulldog, the type of weapon used in most of the attacks. At the time, Norman lived right around the corner from DB on Glenwood Avenue, Yonkers. Norman and Nickel were arrested in a very significant auto, a tan Ford livery service car registered to Norman's then wife, Linda. Norman later tried to ditch his car in the Hudson at the JFK Marina in Yonkers. On 7/22/77, 9 days before the Son of Sam Moskowitz Violante attack, Norman had reason to try and dump this auto. It allegedly was used at several Son of Sam crime scenes. So we've got a tan Ford, and we've got a yellow VW, and we've got the Galaxy, and any other cars, Maury?
Now the tan Ford is never. That's not the car mentioned by Leifer to Nan Kasara, right? No, or is
no? That was a yellow VW.
Yeah, that was right. But there was another car, and and it was very different from a Volkswagen, and she was not able to distinguish the two. I guess she didn't know cars or whatever. But
at the time of their sorry.
I wonder how old Silverstein is.
Yes. At the time of their 6/12/77 arrest with the .44 Bulldog, Nicole actually told cops he was acquainted with Son of Sam victim Valentina Siriani, who had been murdered 7 weeks before in the Northeast Bronx. Source information holds that Nicole is it Nicole
I say
himself.
nickel.
Nicole
Yeah,
himself was not at any Son of Sam crime scenes. However, source info verified by DB also holds that Nicole was nonetheless a significant cult member and was actually DB's controller. So DB had a handler.
yeah, and this information comes from Berkowitz.
And was tied in more with process than with Westchester 22. Nickel now in New Jersey, not yet contacted.
Have you ever heard of Westchester 22?
Nope.
Mm.
You?
No, no, no. It's not the 22 disciples of hell. No, no, not at all. Angel Vasquez or Vazquez. Young,
Vasquez.
yeah. Angel may be a nickname or angel in English. He lived on Lawrence and Radford Streets during the Son of Sam era and hung out at a bar in that area called the Eagle's Nest on South Broadway. And there is a show that was done on the Eagle's Nest by Manny. It is certain, way back, it is certain he also dropped in at the Unicorn on Lawrence, a cult hangout co-owned by major player Robert Taco Grady. Angel worked at a fish market on New Main Street and was at David Berkowitz's apartment on occasion to pick up hard drugs. Huh. Angel also drank with David Berkowitz now and then in a bar on or near New Main and Park Hill Avenue. Info on Angel originally came from various non-involved sources, and he's now a confirmed cult affiliate. Much knowledge, not yet contacted, current location not established. Now, I wonder, Rena, did David confirm that this man came to his apartment to pick up hard drugs, or was Maury
I've never
informed?
heard that.
No, I never heard
that, Eric.
He doesn't say David said it. So it makes me wonder, did David tell him that, or was he informed by somebody else about that? I never heard David dealing in hard drugs.
No, neither. And I've never seen it typed or written anywhere. I don't think we'll ever know, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Claire the Witch.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't see David Berkowitz dealing in narcotics.
Absolutely
I don't see him because the mind is too clever. Whether he's alone or
he
with
said
others.
he never took any drugs after the army.
Yeah, I don't see him dealing in narcotics. Not at all.
Interesting name here, Claire the Witch. TN not yet known, although Sue Conway certainly knows it. Claire also spans the decades known by Conway. Charles Pettigano, DB and other sources. In the 60s, Claire hung out at Untermeyer and Van Cortlandt and with the Jimmy O'Toole crowd. Cult, another cult.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy O'Toole crowd, cult on Lake Avenue. Claire could figure into the Van Cortlandt Wallstrom case. In the Son of Sam era, she lived in the Riverdale Avenue and Post Street area, and Sue Conway acknowledged meeting up with her at the Unicorn on Lawrence Street. Conway probably knows Angel Vasquez too. Claire described as heavy into the black arts and very good looking. Long blonde hair then and large bosoms.
Okay,
Not
hold on.
yet located.
Hold on. This. Oh my. Yes, this was a girl who was heavy into the black arts. She wore.
You know her?
Well, I have a friend. I mentioned this the other time, Bill Aiello. At the time, he was known as Bill Iapalucci, and he took on his mother's maiden name after his father's death. He had cousins living here, and this woman knew his cousins, his two female cousins who lived in Yonkers. He gave me the specific street. I mentioned it on a previous show we did. And she did say that she was involved in cult and the dark occult, and also practiced it unto Maya Park and gods. Now, this is coming from somebody who does not investigate this case at all, but he's from Queens County, and he had cousins in Yonkers. So that's an interesting. This is an interesting character here for me because of the added information given to me by somebody who's not even involved with us.
Forensics of Evil says Claire the Witch. She should have been identified a long time ago, and Maury didn't talk about the O'Toole bunch very much. No, it's first I'm hearing of them, forensics.
Yeah, well, as I said, forensics, this is all subjective. He's talking to himself here with these notes for future action, which never takes place. It's a shame, he's pondering. Now, Steve Hirsch, Yonkers, a well-known devil worshipper who lived at 632 Warburton during the Son of Sam era and was allegedly involved with the cult. The depth of his role is
so that's another person in the area, Eric.
Yeah, not yet contacted. Current location not yet firmly established. Allegedly involved. Not known for sure. Known as a devil worshipper.
Is there anyone in the Warburton Wicker Street area that wasn't involved in the Son of Sam case?
Maybe Warburton was the name of the cult.
The Warburton 22.
Mm-hmm.
Witness list 8/28/97. Anna Lisa Joggers, New York City, and either Piermont in Rockland or Inglewood, New Jersey. A nurse who later worked at Westchester Medical Center in Valhalla. Joggers was a girlfriend of a major Son of Sam figure, P.J. O'Shaughnessy. Patrick O'Shaughnessy, who was then a Yonkers cop. She certainly knows information relevant to the case. More must be obtained on her. Not yet contacted. Exact current location not yet established.
I'm very, very attracted to people who were in the proximity of O'Shaughnessy because of Yonkers.
Why is that, Eric?
Well, because of Yonkers detective Lieutenant Gary Hanley, who to this day still believes O'Shaughnessy was involved.
Patrick said it would be interesting to cross-reference the flipper list with time and cause of death of person on the flipper list.
Yes. Fran Dressler,
right.
Very intelligent. It was similar spelling. Another girlfriend of PJ, that's O'Shaughnessy. Fran's correct name and other information are in Queens District Attorney files. Not yet contacted. Current location not yet established. I take it those would be the files on the Son of Sam case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Peter Garvin, Yonkers, son of the relevant late Dr. William J. Garvin. Peter is believed to have had interactions with cult members, perhaps restricted to sex and drugs. More info on him will be obtained. He's currently in Dutchess County. Not yet contacted. A lot of these not yet contacted, not yet contacted, not yet contacted. Current location not established. I wonder if he ever did.
Okay, you read Garvin and Woody, involved with the cult, hung out at the Candlelight Inn in Greenberg with some of the members, including David Berkowitz and Mike Carr, said to have had stringy black hair in the Son of Sam days. True name probably is Al Ridet Yonkers, who was called Woodsy and was part of the old Mulford Gardens cult crowd. So another cult, Mulford Gardens.
Got a lot of cults here, aren't we, Eric? Yeah.
Yeah. But I'd like to know what these cults were.
Lots of subcults.
Yeah.
Lou Bernaccia, Yonkers, now about 71 years old, was cult liaison regarding child prostitution enterprise in New York City and locally, operated out of Rosie's Town and Country Bar on Warburton Avenue in the early mid-60s, still on Fairview Street. Yonkers, not yet contacted. I wonder where he was getting these names from, Eric.
Well, obviously, obviously, through contacts,
Word of mouth.
word of mouth, David Berkowitz, as we've seen, Joaquin Yonkers. There is still a bit of confusion to straighten out, but this appears to be Joaquin Goncalu,
Yeah, another person.
yeah, who lived at 18 Wicker Street, above the Nato family, during the Son of Sam era. If so, he was on the fringes of the cult and involved in sex parties and/or drugs with certain group members, not yet contacted. Now, you and Neo went over this a lot about Goncalo, no?
Yeah, we've done a lot on the Netos, Goncalo, and yeah, I don't think Maury ever even spoke to Goncalo. Yeah, Maury basically had everyone around Wicker and Warburton lumbered in with these cases. This case,
Yeah.
it's quite amazing, Eric.
Oh boy. Yeah, everybody became suspicious.
So we got someone named Rowe in Yonkers. This nickname appears to be that of Gail Shebro. Gail Shebro, a girlfriend of Wheatcar who lived on DeHaven Drive near Untermeyer during the Son of Sam era. More info on Rowe will be obtained. Not yet contacted. Current location not established.
Mm-hmm.
Roro.
Francisco Frankie.
Frankie Perez. Go
on. Bronx. He was the superintendent's assistant during the time David Berkowitz lived at 2161 Bonds Avenue, Bronx, from late 74 to February 76. It is distinctly possible the infamous Floating Coven Party, at which David Berkowitz got in deep with the group in spring 75, was held in Perez's basement apartment at 2161 Bonds. More data on Perez will be obtained. Not yet contacted. Current location not yet obtained. Hello, Leash.
Hi, Leash.
I just found Quentin Beaver. He would be 95 years. He would be 90 something years of age today.
Patrick Thomas says it's like one of those movies from the 70s where you move into a neighborhood and the entire place is a cult. It's literally just like that. That movie, I can't remember the name of it now, but a person moves into a hotel room and there's like rituals going on in the basement of this hotel.
Yeah. Now, Quentin Beaver, I found this address, Horatio. Let me get the name of the where he lived. He lived at Horatio Street. He might be deceased. He should, or if not, he's 95 years of age.
Forensics of Evil says Gail Shebro, info married to Thomas W. Gurkness, Elizabeth, Colorado. Gail Shebro lives somewhere in DeHaven Avenue in Yonkers during the Son of Sam era.
Is that her full name?
Yeah. And it says Gurkness is important from other angles as well.
Uh-huh. What's her first name?
Elizabeth. No, sorry. Gail Shebro. Info married to Thomas W. Gurkness.
Let me see that name. Can you put that back? What he put? I'll look it up now. Oh, Elizabeth Gurkness, right?
Yes.
Oh no. Oh yeah, Elizabeth Gurkness or Shebro. No, Gail Shebro's giving us information. Wait,
you got it?
Oh no, Gail Shebro is the one that he's speaking of. Okay. Go ahead. You read.
Leash says, speaking of cold, I watched a walking tour of Greenwich Village today, and wouldn't you know it, they walked past 64 Barnes. I think it was Processor's old home. That folk star, old brain fart. The home that Bob Dylan bought. Elizabeth is a town in Colorado, he says. Should I carry on, Eric?
Yeah, go ahead. Does it say that Elizabeth was involved with somebody called uh, Al Shebro?
Yes, it said Al somewhere up.
Well, he died in Delray Beach, Florida. There was, yeah, there was a Louis J. Shebro, Doris D. Shebro, no Gale.
I saw an Al somewhere. I may be getting confused. There's a lot of names here.
Hmm.
Right, where were we? Did I read Francisco Frankie Perez?
I read that. Go to Quentin.
Okay. Quentin Beaver, Yonkers. Quentin Beaver was a middle-aged gay individual who lived in North Yonkers and was allegedly involved in sex parties, a member of the Son of Sam cult. Beaver was a well-known community theater actor and a member of the St. Mary's Players in downtown Yonkers. I wonder what that's all about. He may have had
a theater group. A theater group.
Okay. He may have had some involvement in the capacity, depending on the chronology, with the old Yonkers Playhouse. Beaver later was part owner of an old church in upstate Salem, New York, near Glen Falls, which he used as a summer community theater and maybe for other reasons. Brother John Paul states that people from the Yonkers Playhouse were involved in the cult in the 60s. And it was through this means and one other that Jane Mansfield, the famous actress,
Mm-hmm.
who was absolutely a heavy occultist, and that is true, attended Untermeyer rituals while appearing at the Playhouse in about 64. Brother John Paul states that the rituals occasionally occurred in the basement of the Playhouse because it was an old church. I can believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Before becoming the Strand Theatre and subsequently the Playhouse. Brother John Paul also says rituals were sometimes held in the old catacombs or vaults beneath St. John's Episcopal Church near the Playhouse in Getty Square. Beaver has not yet been contacted. I can totally believe that.
Yeah, I can believe it because these people like to do things in very dark passages and of religious structures.
Well, she was friends with Anton LaVey, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
she was. She was. She was never decapitated as they first reported in the car because her head was on in the coffin. That was reported that decapitation took place. So Brother John is also one that is always notifying people. Carl Bauer, Yonkers, apparently the son of the late Albert Bauer, who was an alleged child molester and cult member in the 60s. Young Carl currently has the license plate Witch-1 or Witch-13, which speaks for itself.
Sorry, Eric, I was on the other screen. Where are you up to?
Jack Minahan, Yonkers.
Mm-hmm.
Minahan was one of those who frequented the Untermeyer cult, seen with Sue Conway and Ralph, brother Ed Marcel in the old days. And David Berkowitz terms Minahan's name very familiar from the Son of Sam era, not contacted yet. I'll read this next one, then you can take over. Walter Scout Deo, Yonkers. Homosexual sexual predator and longtime cult member from Lake Avenue area of Northwest Yonkers. Close pal of John Carr in high school days. Another one who spans the decades. He was known by both David Berkowitz and Brother John Paul. Present at Brother John Paul's cult initiation in Untermeyer in 61. Charged with sodomy of underage boys in 62. Quite possibly involved in the Karen Wallstrom, the teacher, case in Van Cortlandt in 65. Deo is currently in Arizona, not yet contacted.
Do you know much about Walter Scouty Deo, Eric?
I've heard the name Scout.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nickname of many. It could be. No,
Well,
do you?
Well, I know what I know, and that's very true that he was a sexual predator
He was a pederast.
and a cocaine dealer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not a very nice character.
Yeah. So there are some people here that are definitely.
Catherine Blackwell Yonkers, ID'd by Bronx source as a witch who frequented Van Cortlandt and Untermeyer rituals for many years. Prime prison source says there was a female named Blackwell or Blackburn on the fringes of the Son of Sam cult crowd, so it's probably Catherine. Now in Yonkers, not yet contacted. Have you seen any of these listed yet that says contacted?
No, nothing.
No.
Nothing.
No. Go on, Eric, you read this one.
Susan Labashin or Labashin.
Now, what does D mean? Deceased?
No,
not deceased.
I almost wondered if
middle name.
It could have been Labashin, whether the family name ended with an N or a D. That's how I see it. 240 East Palisade in Englewood, New Jersey, in the Son of Sam era. Confirmed cult affiliate. Maury Terry discovered. Is that? Oh, he's putting his own abbreviation. Maury Terry discovered her during 80 search of Yonkers Animal Shelter adoption records, which showed she obtained a German Shep on April 23rd, 77. Has a 53 date of birth. May know very much. Son of Sam Breslin letter was mailed from Englewood from a mailbox at the corner of Lorraine and Myrtle. And David Berkowitz states cult members had access to a townhouse in Englewood. May be hers.
Not yet contacted. Current location not yet established.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up to page 12. Witness list 8/28/97. Jan Gamba, aka Gambol and Goldstein Yonkers, lived at 119 Orchard Street during the Son of Sam years. Her name first surfaced via Yonkers arson investigator years ago. She's now confirmed as a cult affiliate with knowledge of the players and interactions. Not yet contacted. Current location not yet established.
See, what I'd like to know is, what is the time span for Maury Terry receiving all these names? You get my point. How long did he have these names before he did this witness list flipper on August 28th, 97? How far back does it go that he gradually got all of these names?
Forensics is
yes, the Boy Scouts. Yes, I remember this.
He said Scout had a brother named Ken Deo, both very active in Yonkers-based Scouts, lives in Arizona. Ken Deo was once an assistant district attorney in San Diego, California.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
A Son of Sam show was done on Boy Scouts and Scout. That I remember. Before I came along. Was it, wait, you're skipping James somebody?
Oh, did I skip one?
Jan,
no, I read that one.
Oh, you just read it, right? Okay.
Yeah. Robin D. Acutis, Yonkers, about 19 in the Son of Sam era, lived at the very relevant 203 family, 22 Wicker Street. Not a cult member per se, apparently, but said to know things about interactions and people involved. That certainly makes sense, as she was living in the same house and maybe with cult affiliate Alfonso Carroza. Not yet contacted. Current location not yet established. A witness told Maury Terry DB carries groceries into 22 Wicker for her. DB confirms this. I have never heard this before, Eric. Ever.
Carried groceries. Yeah, no. Of course, there's a lot that people do in life that we don't know about.
I'm sure
it's more credible that he carried groceries for somebody than sold hard drugs.
This is just nonsense, Eric. He was firebombing these houses and shooting their dogs. Why would he be carrying groceries in for them? And it would have been said, it would have come out by now. The countless people that have interacted with his house. I mean, where is Maury getting this from?
Well, a witness. He says a witness.
Knows things. Yeah, she knows things. Knows things because they were getting harassed.
look at but look at the way David Berkowitz was when he was. Didn't he have proper behavior with an automobile where he carried out? Uh, he left his name and address. Wasn't there an incident where he left his name and address because of an automobile incident?
I've heard that.
Yeah. So there he is. He says, "Oh, let me help you. I'll carry your groceries in." Peter Piotr. This interests me. This very much interests me. I'll tell you why. Westchester and New York City. That means Manhattan, perhaps known as Peter P. To cult members, Piotr operated Studio P in Lower Manhattan. He was a photographer and pal of Michael Carr. I wonder if he knew Robert Mapplethorpe. He has since achieved some degree of recognition, having taken photos for a cookbook written by a New York Times food critic. Currently in Mount Kisco and Manhattan, Piotr was not a cult member, but certainly can put people together in the sex and drug scene, not yet contacted. Definitely. Definitely. If he was in that environment of photography and studios, there's a good chance that could be very true.
Well,
Very,
without naming this friend's name, you either, Eric. He told me the other day about this Peter Pipio,
Piotr.
and that he contacted him. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes.
I won't name him. Yes, yes, yes. He said Eric should get a kick out of this.
Yeah.
And
how do you say it?
Piotr.
Peter Piopo.
That's it. So, yes. Now, was he taking photographs of people's license plate numbers, or was his license plate number taken what you call in England a target? Was that taken a photo of? There was also that part of it. Oh yeah, he was a photographer, so he's taking photos of people's license plate numbers. Wasn't that what that person said?
Yes.
From
what I can remember, Eric, I can't even remember what I did yesterday. Well, anybody said.
Yeah, but I wonder who he was taking it for. Roger Woods, Yonkers. Professional guy and playboy type who lived at 28 Chatfield in East Yonkers in Son of Sam years, allegedly at sex and drug parties with cult members. Roger made an extremely incriminating statement about David Berkowitz being involved in a Yonkers cult that participated in the Son of Sam murders to two credible witnesses at a time. No one even gave the cult angle a thought. September 77, just a month after David Berkowitz's arrest, currently in Connecticut. Okay, Mr. Woods, you made an extremely incriminating statement. To whom did you make it? Why don't these people, if they know that there have been those who have been murdered, why doesn't a Mr. Woods go to the police and say, listen, I want to give some information because of such and such a case?
Well, he did there's a tape of his, Eric.
Of Roger Woods? And who made that?
It's on the Queen's tapes, the DA tapes, Roger Woods.
I must have overlooked him.
Yes.
Because it's not a name that resonates.
I think he was he was a sportsman. Maybe a football player, or baseball, or golf, or he was some kind of sportsman. Yeah, I definitely recognize that name, Roger Woods.
Cookie, homosexual male Hispanic with Westchester roots, was in Clinton prison in 80 to 81. New relevant things. A female Westchester lawyer named Grace Henley Chappaqua, that's where she was, knows his true name.
Again, not yet contacted.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's so often there. I just overlook it. I don't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's every single one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Francisco Frankie Polonco. These Italian names. Manhattan.
Might be
He lived
Spanish.
Polonco.
Oh, it's Spanish because Francisco and not Francesco. It's Spanish.
All right. He lived on West 136th Street in the Son of Sam era, and his plate was taken at Michael Carr's wake in October of 79. Polonco's involvement has not been fleshed out fully, but it is probably limited to sex and drugs. Not yet contacted. Current location not established. So Frankie boy.
Charles McIntosh, upstate New York. Where upstate? A major player in his own right who was not involved in the Son of Sam per se. Charlie was involved with the Manson crowd at communes in Taos, New Mexico in late 68, by which time Manson had already become involved with Process. McIntosh intermingled with Son of Sam people in New York in summer to the fall 75 before being busted upstate for a Halloween 75 kidnap and murder. He's been on parole since about 90, reporting into Troy, New York, it is believed. There may be leverage on him due to his still ongoing parole status, and he likely possesses a wealth of relevant info which spans decades and coasts. So another one of these people, to be released for kidnapping and murder? Helpful data, not yet contact. Wait.
That doesn't match up, does it?
No, wait, go back. See what the page.
That doesn't match up.
See what that other page is. See if the page we just read. Scroll down. We want to see the page number. No, scroll down, Rena.
Up or down? We just read this one.
No, down. I want to see the page, the heading. No, not this one. The previous page heading. Yeah, we're missing page 13, or it may be below 14.
Oh, okay. That's a bit weird. Okay. So we'll go to Samora Ramos Yonkers, a voodoo Santiera priestess who hung out around Ashburton Avenue and lived above the Mango Bar, New Main Street. You know what Santiera is, don't you, Eric?
Yeah, it's
savage.
It's a kind of ritualistic practice.
Was that famous murder case, wasn't there, in the 80s?
Where?
Santiera, however you say it, that cult where those college kids went to, was it Mexico?
The Matamoros case.
Yes.
Yeah. Some of them were even boiled.
That's one of the most savage murder cases I think I've ever heard. Now, that's a cult that Maury should have gone after.
And how the...
what they did to that poor kid, Eric.
I know. And how the parents could say, we forgive you. We must, they have to be Christ-like. I guess that's the only thing you could do. What can you do? You can't bring the person back to life. It's the only way of healing the mind.
We should do a show on that story, Eric. It fascinates me.
Yeah. It's amazing how much that's so dark and horrific fascinates one.
I know. That's why I'm going to call you Grandpa Grimm.
How do you spell that?
Grim, Grandpa Grimm. Grandpa.
Grandpa.
You don't mind me calling you Grandpa, do you, Eric?
No. I have no self-consciousness.
You're like an adoptive granddad to me, Eric.
Oh. Well, you're mistaken.
You're like the granddad I never had. You're the Son of Sam granddad.
Ah, well.
All right? You're my adoptive granddad.
Okay, grandchild. Now, this Samora is a top source. Says Samora was around the scene and would know some information, at least from a fringe position. That relates to associations among relevant individuals in this case. Not yet contacted, current location not yet established. You know what the difference is? If this had been names we got from Rothstein, we would have more information on the crimes and the interrelationships of people. But Maury wasn't investigating. He just got, well, he was investigating, but he just got these names. That's all he's got. So from 1997 to his death 17 years later, what did he do with these names? What did he do with them?
Forensics of evil. You know a lot, dude. I've looked into Michael, how do you say that? Takamutsu. I've always wondered if he knew S. Neil Fajuta. So he was, wasn't he a chap that was in David Berkowitz's phone book or address book? Or
maybe. These are Japanese names. Takamaki.
Yeah.
Chipora Schwartz has an ex-husband who was busted on pedo charges. Michael Takamatsu, did we just read him? No. Lived at 51 Ashburton in the Son of Sam era, allegedly involved in voodoo. He was known by sources in this case and could be considered a fringe player who would have information regarding people and associations. Chipora Schwartz, or Schwarzman, New York City, known as Lady Chipora. She was a fixture with the Magical Child occult shop crowd in Manhattan. Now that name I want to remember because I have a contact who frequented that place, who knew, what's his name? Herman Slater. Chipora Schwartz. Now, with a divorce here, knew people in the Son of Sam circle and was also an associate of the relevant New York City witch, Wendy Kaplan. Kaplan allegedly was at Son of Sam Denaro scene.
Is that big-breasted Wendy?
Perhaps, yeah, maybe. Chipora was also allegedly the fag hag of one Ted Beasley, who lived on Amsterdam Avenue near Columbia University. That's in Manhattan. In the Son of Sam era, Chipora also was apparently close to Bernice D., David Berkowitz's girlfriend of sorts. There is also possibility Chipora went to Columbus High in the Bronx at the same time as David Berkowitz. In the early 90s, Chipora was still conducting witchcraft classes at the Magical Child. Now, her name, I wonder if she's also in the book, The Bull of Heaven.
Hang on a minute.
Not yet contacted.
S. Neil Fujita was the guy who did the cover work for the Godfather book, and I think that jazz album Take 5 worked at Columbia.
So if it's Take 5, that goes back to Dave, what was his name? Dave Brubeck.
Wendy Big-Breasted Grossman, friend of Wheat. Is that her name? Wow.
Well, okay, so it's not Wendy Kaplan. Go ahead, Susan Brody.
Yep, Susan Brody, NYC. Susan Brody, then and now involved in the art world in Manhattan, first surfaced in the notable 1975 ATF Flickinger report about segments of the U.S. occult underground. In that report, ATF asked NYPD intelligence about Susan and received confirmed reports of her role in the occult underworld. Sources in the Son of Sam matter report Susan's name as very familiar, and they state they are basically certain Susan was at sex parties in Westchester, which included members of the Son of Sam cult. There is a possibility she is related to, and then, and maybe now, NYU professor named Steve Brody, whom top NYC cult sources put heavily into the scene, not yet contacted.
Steve Brody. He was a New York University professor of what? See what I mean? Professor of what?
Yeah, professor of what?
Yeah. Kim D. Riley, Northeast Bronx. Riley, still in the Bronx, works for the key Son of Sam figure Vinnie Minutolo. .44 caliber victim Donna Lauria's former and obsessed boyfriend. Oh, he was the obsessed boyfriend. Riley also knows Flo Sunshine Mandrakia, who was involved with the Son of Sam cult and dated the late Frank Signorelli, the top suspect in November 1977 Gallus Sioux Levy sniper attack in New Rochelle, covered earlier. Riley clearly provides a direct link between some very pertinent players in this case, not yet contacted.
Joanne Conway, North or South Salem area, outside sources told
I
more.
just want to say one thing. I don't think in the Ultimate Evil, Minutolo is mentioned. I never came across him in that book. And now it seems as the years passed, he tends to be a major key figure.
Well, he was in the new Netflix documentary, Eric.
He was? Oh, with the Berkowitz?
Yes.
No, I didn't see that film. I don't have Netflix, I'm not going to spend for Netflix.
Yeah, he's not in it very much, but yeah. Joanne Conway, North or South Salem area, outside sources told Maury in the early '82 that Joanne had been on Joseph Carrozza's yacht in New Rochelle just an hour or two before he was murdered there on New Year's Eve '81. A prime source involved in the Son of Sam cult says Joanne was known by the group and had some interactions with it. Not known if she is related to Sue Conway. Joanne's not been contacted. Current location not yet established. There's another Conway.
Yeah, Timothy
Lots
Conway.
of Conways.
South Salem, Pound Ridge area, may be related to Joanne. A top source says Tim was also involved at some level with the Son of Sam group. Of significance, Tim was among those busted by the Eastern District in a major drug smuggling enterprise in August '83. Among the others, arrested was Ian Brierley, a rock and roll musician from Britain who was the wife is crossed out, is the man, who was the ex of singer Marianne Faithfull. That's where these names are familiar, who had been involved with the process in England in the mid-late 60s. Process was ensconced in South Salem and Pound Ridge in the Son of Sam era from the years 73 to 78, very near Tim Conway's residence. This will all tie in with Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones' witch girlfriend, Anita Pallenberg. Was she a witch?
I'm not sure. I know who she is.
Yeah, I know her. Who was living with Keith in North Salem in '79 when a young boy was found shot dead in Anita's bedroom there. That I seem to remember. Keith was yes, I remember. They contacted him. Keith was on tour with the Rolling Stones at the time, and the death was either ruled accidental or a suicide. This chain will link up because Marianne Faithfull was Mick Jagger's girlfriend and knew Anita well. At the time, she was involved with the process. Would lo and behold just happened to be in South Salem during the Son of Sam years of the '70s. Now, let me just say that a lot of these people in the entertainment world involve themselves in these groups because sometimes in the entertainment world, the recording industry and Hollywood, they have very empty lives. Some of these people, they have a lot of money, but they're void of.
Well, Jimmy Page worked with Kenneth Anger. I mean,
yeah, some of them are void. That's a different type of relationship. But joining groups, it's like they're looking for an answer. They're really not satisfied with their lives. And it may not be that they belong to these groups for any nefarious reason. It's a curiosity.
Is Maury trying to tie Marianne Faithfull in with the Son of Sam cult?
Well,
that's nuts.
He would be putting her in the history of the Son of Sam cult if we believe David Berkowitz, as he tells Caparelli. He says it indicatively, definitively.
He says, who, lo and behold, this
Yeah.
happened to be in South Salem, like sarcastically, lo and behold.
During
Like,
the Son of
surprise,
Sam years of the
surprise.
70s. Yeah. It should also be remembered that there were satanic rituals occurring in this specific North Salem and Ridgefield locale at the time. Now, this is in England or here? This is in Britain, right?
No.
It's here?
Yeah.
And would this be Ridgefield, Connecticut?
Yeah, sounds like it. Or Massachusetts? Salem, Massachusetts?
It'd have to be verified because I know that Hank Chinotti said in Ridgefield, Connecticut, there was originally the Saint, I believe
Connecticut cop, look.
It was the center of a seminary of the Society of St. Pius X, and somebody took a wrong turn, a lady, and saw men all running out with kind of these cloaks on and hoods, having rituals. Now, and scorch marks were said to have been found on the Pallenberg property. A convent of nuns nearby was also terrorized by rituals occurring near their property, and a Connecticut cop was attacked when he stumbled onto an outdoor ritual on the Ridgefield North Salem border. Yeah, we've come across this story before, that a cop was attacked. There may be a wealth of evidence in Westchester and Eastern District case files, including possible connections to major player Roy Radin. Tim Conway not yet contacted or located. Here we come to Reeve Rockman.
Yes. Steve Carlin Trackman, Forest Hills, Queens, drugs, gay sex, professional type who had a lot of personal problems in the Son of Sam era and ended up at the Phoenix House for drug counseling, as did Michael Carr. Trackman ID'd as mulling drugs to John Carr in Minot, North Dakota. Not yet contacted. And have you ever seen that YouTube clip where Steve Trackman is on he's on some low budget talk show and he's like a volunteer fireman?
No.
Actual footage of him.
Really?
I'll send it to you.
I knew that he was supposed to be an ambulance driver.
And his Facebook profile is him standing near what looks like a beam from the Twin Towers. Like, obviously afterwards, like the wreckage.
Well, now this is interesting because elsewhere, his name is put as Steve Carlin, also known as Steve Trackman. But here, Maury Terry puts Carlin as his second name.
Well, he always stood out to me, this Steve Trackman character, Reeve Rockman. Because I remember all the audio tapes that have to do with Minot. Everybody said that when they came in contact with this Steve Trackman, he was a very weird character. If anyone came in the room, he would get up and leave. He would never talk to anybody. He was very sketchy.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened between him and John, but he always piqued my interest, that character, out of everybody.
Well, his name comes to Maury Terry when Veronica Lucan informs Hank Chinotti of Steve Trackman. And something to do also, I believe, with Staten Island. And Trackman, I was told Criminal Justice Chris said, don't try to contact him. It's dangerous. After all, you have a wife.
Yeah, I don't think you got much to be scared of these days with this guy.
No, I don't. But what I found curious is that, according to her, Christopher Pirro said, oh, no, I want to contact him. He's changed, according to her. What does that mean, he's changed? He's got white hair? Dr. Daniel Carlton Gajusek Yonkers, the man I did so much newspaper research on, degenerate. Imagine this guy was able to you have to really say that there are these vast.
Yeah, be careful with your words, Eric.
Yeah. Okay, but there are these vast organized underground
Mhm.
cults. When this man in Maryland, on the letterhead of the National Institutes of Health, NIH, can write on their letterhead officially and adopt 56 boys from Micronesia, there's something very strange. There has to be people at high levels involved. There's no way out of it. There's people who have trouble adopting one child. He brings in 56 boys.
I cannot believe he didn't have that Nobel Prize stripped from him, Eric.
He brought 8 of the kids with him. They all slept in sleeping bags when they were in
But
Stockholm.
he was proud of it.
Oh, yeah, he later came. There's a British Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's really, and so, but he is a big player in Yonkers, especially when we did that show. Jason Goodman was there also, and he's in Tehran, and he happens to bump into a professor. I think his name was Richardson, who lived in Yonkers also. And I think the filmmaker might have, and they were both looking for a particular filmmaker who worked with obviously intelligence. This is at the time of post World War II espionage and putting people into power in Iran. And you wonder why he would ever be sent there, both of these people. Okay, Omega, his original name was Carlin, and then he changed it to Trachtman. Yeah, that's what I originally knew. Yeah. Omega, can you confirm, is it true
I will, Steve.
that, is it true, Omega, that Trachtman also was an accountant and worked in the same building that Christina Freund worked in, where it was also Citibank?
Yes, that's right. Yep, that's absolutely right. Yep.
The chief executive officer was Alfred Hunt Howell Sr.
Conspiracy Archives. Hello. Kevin Murphy agreed that Gadget shouldn't be prosecuted for more things because he was old and sick. Check the paperwork.
I don't agree with Kevin Murphy. So what if he was old and sick? Look at the boys. Old and sick.
If I remember from that documentary, wasn't one of his adopted children like saying what a good man he was? And
oh yeah, I
mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, and there were people who knew him and said it wasn't true, and then he comes out and reveals everything. Nobel winner from 114 Palmer Road, sentenced in Maryland in spring '97 on 2 child sex counts, to which he pled guilty in February '97. Yeah, he was only a pederast. Involved with the cult, pal of Ace. That does he mean Ace Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Probably took photos of Untermeyer. Oh yes, because that's on those Rothstein files.
Mm-hmm.
And on the same page down below, Maury Terry wrote, Ace Brown knew Dean Coral. So took photos of Untermeyer Gardens, etc. Maybe a major player in that he brought kids to the United States from overseas. Now that's interesting. You can see that Maury was not that well informed of him. May be a major player in that he brought kids to the United States from overseas. Well, he is a major player.
Sorry, Eric. Amiga said, yes, that is true. He worked at 2 Broadway for an accounting firm and then later became part of the Deloitte Touche firm.
Deloitte Touche seems to be French. Thank you, Omega. Thank you. I mean, it's quite. Mm-hmm.
Forensic says Gadjisek had so many international connections. He retired to Truro, Norway. She was a major pedo network, was busted back in the 90s. Conspiracy says, no, that was Rothstein who wrote that about Coral.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was Rothstein. Rothstein's files, Conspiracy Archives. Hi. Yeah, it was Rothstein who wrote Ace knew Dean Coral. I had said the Rothstein files. Thank you anyway. So it says, involved with the cult, pal of Ace took photos of Untermeyer Gardens, etc. may be a major player in that he brought kids from overseas. He also may have dealt with process bringing in kids from Mexico. Dr. G had big ties in the upscale pedo community. I have no doubt about that. And also was at one time a Boy Scout counselor in Northwest Yonkers. That's true. And he had been a Boy Scout himself, at which time he may have met Walter Scout Deo and others involved in this group from the early years forward. Dr. G is doing 18 months in jail, not yet contacted, will be evasive. Of interest, his attorney also probably represented Central Intelligence Agency Aldrich Ames. Coincidence? Oh, spy. The spy, Aldrich. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Kuno Schwartz, Yonkers, like the late Dr. William J. Garvin of North Broadway, there is physical evidence of North Broadway's Kuno, and the same physical evidence at that, which is his Long Island summer home's phone number, appeared in DB's phone records. Yonkers police sources report nothing would surprise them about Kuno. No, speaking of Garvin, police sources believe there is probably a record somewhere showing Garvin was suspended, censured, or whatever by the AMA or the Board of Regents for writing fake drug prescriptions for the hippies cultists. Kuno has not yet been contacted.
Yeah, AMA means American Medical Association.
Okay.
Matt Simba. This is a long shot and not a true priority at this point. Simba was Jane Mansfield's last husband. He was also her business manager. Jane was killed in a hideous auto wreck outside New Orleans on June 29th, 1967. To the point regarding Jane and rituals in Yonkers, Matt Simba grew up in Yonkers, attended Roosevelt High, and maintained some sort of office or crash pad at 40 North Broadway in the 60s. He was clearly in a position to know about underground activity and cult leaders in Yonkers in those days. Probably won't cooperate, and information goes back in time to the cult's early years, but at some point could prove relevant to the 70s activities. Note, there are a number of others who also may possess relevant data. Their names will be added to this list as necessary. Let me finish the paragraph and then go back to something put up about that.
Forensics says Walter probably knew a guy named Roy Ames. Ames was a major Houston pedo porn distributor and, strangely enough, close to Johnny Winters.
Well, he was from Texas, I think, Johnny Winters. Very good. Can you scroll up a bit so I can read that, finish it?
Yep.
In addition to all the above, there are numerous 70s license plates to be run, which requires a trip to Albany archives. These plates were obtained at the wakes of John and Michael Carr in the Pine Street neighborhood near Untermeyer, etc. More witnesses and evidence can be gleaned from this list when it is obtained. There are also more witnesses and evidence can be gleaned from this list when it is obtained. Now, the list he wants are from the license plate numbers, I see. There are also various significant case files and records to be obtained, along with other relevant data on individuals, cases, and so forth. Some of these files are in Yonkers, others in various Westchester jurisdictions, a couple in federal archives, one with the New York State Police in Fishkill, another in Queens District Attorney's Office. So,
let me just see how much is left, Eric, and if we've got time to finish this.
This is a different set of people.
Right. Okay, I think we're going to have to do a part 3 because there's no way I could do another hour of this.
This is a different set of people. Look at the heading.
Yeah, this is a whole other show, isn't it?
Non-involved witnesses. So people who witness something, but they're not involved in committing the crime, allegedly.
Yeah, that we could do like a third and final show on these ones.
Yeah.
What do you think of this list so far, Eric? Do you think he's stretching here?
No, I don't think he's stretching because everything is allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. He's not saying yes, yes, yes. You see what I mean?
Do you think he was just trying to throw in as many people as possible and narrow it down?
Um, yeah, that could be a possibility, to be fair,
Yeah.
because as I say, this was not a list that he ever meant to publish. This was for himself to ponder, to think about, to refer to. Uh,
Conspiracy says I have a bunch of stuff on Ames, Coral, and Norman, Gacy, and the New Rochelle Petering that ties them all together. Also, a man named Guy Straight.
now I happen to know conspiracy archives, and this is very true what conspiracy archives has provided. Currently working scanning Gacy's trial transcripts with Gacy's notes. Yeah, conspiracy archives is the foremost gatherer I know anywhere
Mm-hmm.
of criminological documents. One of the major, maybe the major person with providing documentation to the investigative journalist author of Chaos, Charles Manson, CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s, to Tom O'Neill. Tons of stuff was given to him by conspiracy archives. Just and this conspiracy archives has the magic touch. It's like once you open up that, you have that magic touch and you put your hand on something, it becomes very simple to do, and it's incredible, just incredible, the documentation.
And I like how they stay behind the scenes and, you know,
Working on getting everything out there. I've spoken
yeah.
with conspiracy archives, a person to be trusted.
That is
Uh,
the way to do it, Eric. And then no one can take your work, right?
that's right. Well, conspiracy archives has been gracious to people in the past, and maybe two or three have not been very kind to conspiracy archives,
Mm-hmm.
and then wanted to say, "Look, I did it." It's not that they can't have information, but they should say, I want to thank so and so. And they don't. They make it seem as if they've done all the lead work. They've taken the time to do all the searching and so forth and so on. And it's quite unfair. Very, very unfair.
Huge documents. Also, Wayne Henley's trial transcripts.
Oh, yes. About conspiracy archives. How many boxes did you get just on Wayne Henley? Elmer Wayne Henley? You got what? Was it 12 big boxes, or is it less or more than that? Everything, everything.
Ames got away with so much. He was really brazen. I've mapped out him and his friends and how they operated along Westheimer Drive in Houston, just west of downtown Houston was the epicenter.
You know, uh, with conspiracy archives appearing at the bottom, right? And this person has facts of the massive child prostitution scene. And having read Dave McGrath and my own, 6 boxes, no one could find them for years. Look at that, 6,000 pages.
That's amazing.
See that? If you persist, as Conspiracy Archives does, and you have to know how to speak, and you have to be sincere and honest, not that you're cajoling, look at that, 6,000 pages, just the first trial of Elmer Wayne Henley. 6,000. He alone. That's not Gacy. That's not anybody else with Coral. Only Henley.
I went to a serial killer exhibition last year, and there was some framed drawings from David Brooks and Henley. Is it Henley?
Yeah, Henley.
Yeah, I've got pictures. I'll post them.
Oh, he made drawings, Henley?
Yeah, he must have sent something to somebody, a collector, and yeah, I'll post them. Conspiracy. You'd like to see them?
But you see, this when you see what conspiracy, okay, David Brooks was the son of a Harris County sheriff's deputy. That's one reason why the Candyman case was stopped.
Why was nobody looking for all those boys that were missing, Eric?
Houston was a hotbed of nasty. Oh, they are, but it's just been deep sixed. You see, there have been. I'm friends with. Yeah, this person is friends with Wayne Henley, in constant contact with him. Speaks with him from prison.
It's amazing how many boys were missing, and the
Listen,
cops didn't seem to be looking for them.
Brooks lived pretty close to where I lived in Houston. He was married at 18 and owned a green Corvette given to him by Dean Coral. Did I ever tell you about the boy from New York missing for 3 years? He was the son of a radiologist and a very Italian family. The father was a radiologist. The mother, they had 2 children. And when the boy, Henley is very helpful, she says, and that's good.
Is Brooks still alive? He's not, is he?
But about what you said about the cops, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Listen, I'll give you an example. Of course, you don't know what to think of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Sometimes there are those on your side, and sometimes there are those who are terribly rogue. Terribly, terribly rogue. We might be speaking, without mentioning any names, about somebody who was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and went to jail. Brooks died of coronavirus disease in 2020.
Wow.
But you talk about the cops. Where are they?
Yeah.
There was a fellow sitting down at maybe a cafe here in New York, not the city, Nassau, years ago. He's a lovely man. I knew him and his wife. I had been to their home with my parents. They were related to friends of ours. A real gentle, good man and lovely family. And a friend he hadn't seen for years and years says, "Hey, Tony, how are you? How is everything?" And he says, "Well, I'm not good. I mean, my wife is well, but we're very sad, devastated. One of our sons has been missing for 3 years." And he told him the story that the boy went off to college. They were happy. And as happens with children, there's always maybe one son that might be closer to the mother and another to the father. That happens. And when this boy came home from college, the mother instinctively saw that the personality had entirely changed, right? Entirely changed. Didn't want to talk to her, anything. He seemed to be in a world of his own. So after Christmas or Thanksgiving, whatever the holiday was, he goes back to college. And suddenly the college says, "Where's your son? He's not home." So the police look, they get the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And do you want to know something? They searched for him for 3 years. Keep in mind, 3, the number 3, right? The Federal Bureau of Investigation. And Harry Daly, you know that name, my friend. Harry Daly said they probably weren't even looking. They just write the reports up. They put them up on the. It's just like that film Missing with the police in Chile. They take the reports, and then they put them up there. A lot of them do that. Really, you'd be surprised. We grow up patriotically as young people, but they do that. So he tells the story 3 years, and so he says, "Tony, I'm terribly sorry to hear that. I'll pray for you." But what he didn't know about this man who had been a friend of his when they were younger is that he was with the mafia. The mafia found the boy in 3 days, and the FBI couldn't find him in 3 years. They did the investigation that the police and everybody should have done thoroughly. They investigated his roommate thoroughly, everything, and people that the roommate knew. And ipso facto, they found the boy working on a Mooney with the Moonies out in California. He had been under some mind control or mind manipulation, and he was working on the docks with the Moonies. And they found him in 3 days, the mafia, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation could have said they were looking for 3 years.
Were they ever suspicious of Dean Corll? Or had that not gone down that night, do you think they'd have continued getting away with what
You
they were
mean
getting away with?
if Coral hadn't have been murdered?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it would have continued. I'm sure Conspiracy Archives believes it. And Conspiracy Archives just wrote it's a tangled web. That's why I respect Maury Terry's list. If you really look at what I've come across, Conspiracy Archives, an intelligence officer, vice detective I know, can't be named. There are these interrelationships and interconnections. That's a fact. That is a fact because the child, whether it's pederastic or pedophilic, both sexual abuse, is merchandise. The child or the young man, teenager is merchandise for these people. Merchandise. That's horrific. They're merchandise, just like somebody just told me of Robert DeVries. And if anybody out there can help me find his arrest record or something, there was a Robert DeVries. He was arrested at Danny's bar where Ed Skull Murphy. No, I can't find anything on him, but it is true. And my informant gave me the information.
Did you see the news earlier today, Eric? More than 3 million pages of Epstein files.
Sweetheart, let me get my point across about DeVries.
Sorry.
DeVries trafficked. He also trafficked in cigarettes, alcohol, but he was a school teacher at a grammar school, a high school. There. He knew if he didn't kill Dean, it would go on. David and Wayne even discussed killing Dean. It goes way back from Brooks. Thank you.
Yeah, breaking news earlier, more than 3 million pages of Epstein files released. Apparently there's 180,000
names.
I think it was videos.
Wow.
3 million pages, Eric. How do you even wrap your mind around that? Where do you even start?
You just start and don't think about going through things chronologically, because that's like saying I can't know you because I never knew Adam and Eve and everybody else after them. You just start. Dean Corll is probably financed by one rich Jewish guy in Houston. He also worked at Southwestern Bell, which meant he could walk into anybody's backyard and work on phone lines.
Conspiracy Archive said agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Thomas says the government likes to document crime more than they like to stop crime.
Conspiracy Archives, maybe for people out there. Have you the names? I seem to recall 2 people from New Rochelle. Or maybe it's not time to know. There are 2 people from New Rochelle. They just got slaps on wrist for trading boys.
When was this?
Whoa.
She said yes.
60s to the 80s. Conspiracy Archives would have the more precise dates.
She goes, I can call in.
She wants to call in now?
Let me put a link up.
Mm-hmm.
What are you referring to, Eric?
Well, Conspiracy Archives can better explain it. I've looked into it, but not like her, because I'm staying with the son of Sam, and this magical child, Danny's bar thing. But I have to tell you, with Conspiracy Archives coming on, and thinking about what my informant told me in that period of Danny's bar and the magical child, Andrew Crispo and everything, Maplethorpe, Jesse Michael Turner, I can believe that there is a lot that we could have historically gathered from the names we have so far gone over um, with by Maury Terry. Simply because, remember, Maury Terry did not write these names in a book with the pretension of what they did when he doesn't really know everything that they've done. If you see what I mean, he's using the word allegedly, allegedly. Very careful, jurisprudentially exact.
Hi, Stuart.
Herbal tea.
Yeah, that's Stu.
Stuart?
Stuart, yep.
This is
Yeah, the Crown and the Candyman case, not case, but that documentary really stuck with me.
Yeah, that documentary really opened the floodgates for further documentaries and everything that a produceress, Tracy Ullman, has been involved in, that who Conspiracy Archives knows. That
Really?
yeah. You know, if you look at Investigation Discovery, the film production companies who have their film directors' films televised on Investigation Discovery, they're far better films than on Netflix. They don't play with the narrative that the establishment wants. 762 Webster Avenue. Yes, Elliot Shapiro is the man. I believe Forensic of Evil, Elliot Shapiro is still alive. He's the one who had a an art gallery with a unique name. And doesn't he live in Israel now? I think, yeah.
Very close to where the Casaras lived.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much knowledge everybody has about stuff going on. And
Well, that's because of people like us, people, what other people revealed. Conspiracy Archives.
Okay.
hello,
Hello, how are you?
very
Fine. How are
well.
you?
How do I turn off my echo problem here?
We don't have an echo here.
I do. I got to turn my YouTube off.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, you can't have both on.
Okay, there I am. Yay. Hello,
So how goes it?
everyone.
Thank you
Good.
for hopping on.
Mhm.
Well, I just have a lot of information. We all have our little things that we do, and sadly enough, mine is tracking pedophile rings. And it gets very disgusting and dirty, and sometimes I just need a break. But as far as New Rochelle goes, my interest started with the whole Dean Coral thing. It appeared in a Pasadena police report that the Westchester County Police had called down to Dallas wanting to know if the person that's associated with Shapiro by the name of Eli Schomer, who was known to have killed a man with the last name of Amarante, and was suspected in the murders of 5 boys in Manhattan, if he was connected with Dean Coral and the ring down in Texas. So I said, okay, well, what's going on up in New Rochelle? So I looked up in New Rochelle, and in I think it was 73, same year as Dean's murder, there was a bust in New Rochelle of a house. I have the address somewhere. I'm like, no, I'm unprepared for this. I'm just winging it, but I could come back and give you more information if you want.
Future show.
That Eli Schomer and Elliot Shapiro were the heads of running boys out of New Rochelle. So
Wow.
I said, okay. And they listed a couple other names, but Elliot Schomer, he got convicted, and after he served a tap on the hand sentence, he went back to Israel. I've got lots of information on him. Elliot Shapiro, it was either Schomer or Shapiro, and I want to say it was Shapiro. In order to get out for the Jewish holidays, he wanted to get electric shocks so he's not attracted to boys anymore. I can't make this up.
He
I
wanted,
got proof.
he wanted to go to the Jewish holidays.
He wanted to get out of prison for the Jewish holidays and agreed that he'd go through getting electric shocks so he didn't like young boys anymore.
Wow.
Well, I remember in London, a top psychologist and also a brother-in-law was a psychiatrist of a friend.
Mhm.
They all say there's no cure for pederasty and pedophilia.
There isn't, but they'll say and do anything to get out of trouble.
Oh.
I'll never do it again. And a lot of them, money talks, and they don't even serve time. But Shapiro is still alive and kicking in Mamaroneck. What is that? It begins with an M.
Mamaroneck.
He still owns a antique shop up that way, and he's still alive and kicking up there at the age of 85.
Now, isn't that
really?
That's Den of Iniquity, right?
Yes, and if you go on, I put a video on my channel about Shapiro and Schomer. As soon as I did that, if you go and look at his Facebook page, he took DEN, he capitalized the D and he capitalized the E of iniquity, and he capitalized the A and the N. What does that spell? That spells Dean.
Wow.
Yeah.
That can't be a coincidence.
He wants
Oh
to,
no.
He wants to be known. He's suffering from a perverse.
Yeah.
He's answering with a perverse pride.
Oh, they like to play tricks and they'll play games and do whatever. And I just want to say, I went into the whole thing. I didn't want to like Wayne Henley. I really did not want to like him. Okay, I went in, I wanted answers. I expected some jerk would tell me to go whatever myself or just, be a jerk. But he was very kind. He's answered all my questions. He's come a long way from what he was. He went in at 17 and he is now 69 years old. And that's 52 years. He just got another 10-year denial on parole for his parole. So next time he comes up, they don't call it parole in Texas. He'll be 79 years old. So, the kid had no life whatsoever, and he doesn't excuse what he's done. He takes full responsibility for what he has done. Or I wouldn't talk to him.
How many of the boys did Brooks and Henley kill?
That is up for grabs. I'm still looking into that. Wayne got convicted of killing 6 of them, and Brooks got convicted of killing 1 of them.
Oh, wow. Only 1.
Yes, there's a lot of conflicting stories. There's a lot of different things going on in each one of those cases. And you have to look at the fact, Roy Ames was living in that neighborhood. John David Norman got busted 2 weeks after Wayne killed Dean. Okay, here's another big one. There's a whole story behind where he goes and what he does, and I got all that paperwork. But if you look at that, 2 of the boys, the Waldrop brothers, and I'm not faulting the victims, okay? The 70s were a different time. I remember going out to play, and you went out to play to the, dinner time. Then you went out, and then you went out to the street lights came on. There's no parental checking there. It was a totally different time growing up.
Sorry, I'm not interrupting you. Forensic says, look at Henley's artwork. What a dark mind. At that serial killer exhibition, there was some of Henley's artwork. And that's what I'll post, Glenn, and I'll show you. You'll like that.
I've seen it all. And he's not allowed to do the artwork anymore because he was having art shows and he wasn't profiting from them at all.
Like Gacy.
No, like Gacy. That's a whole other. I could talk hours on Gacy, but if you look at some of his work, it is dark. But if you look at some of the other stuff, it's really not. So it depends on what you see, and I'm not excusing him whatsoever. I think the things that he did to those boys was heinous, heinous. But you have to look at his influences there too. He was made in the recent documentary. They were talking about him wearing dead boy boots. No, well, from what he told me, and Wayne will not get mad at me for saying this, Dean Coral made him wear dead boy clothes, from the
Oh,
underwear to the pants to the shirt to whatever. Okay. And there's so much more to what was going on there that everybody just glosses over. And I'm trying to bring everything to light because it all traces into what's going on today.
Because officially there were 27 boys killed, even though Henley told him to keep digging. Many people think that there's about 35.
And Henley also got those forensic people involved, the ones that go looking with all the equipment and what, because he said that he knows there were more bodies. Okay, and they came up with like an arm or a leg in the boathouse and no body. And Wayne said there has to be a body in there. You're missing somebody. Okay, but they wouldn't listen to him. He said he sat there in amazement because he was only thinking about the ones that he and Brooks or he buried, and then they kept bringing bodies out of that boathouse. Okay, and bodies, and he doesn't make excuses for it. He wants people to be aware that he tried to tell people 4 times that he was getting molested and what was going on with Dean and Dean killing kids, and nobody would listen to him.
Did they ever go to the police?
I don't know if they went to the police or not, because they were told that there's a syndicate running down there in Texas, and I've shown Wayne the extent of the syndicate that I have found so far, and I said, you had a right to be afraid. You definitely had a right to be afraid of what was going on. The man's never left Texas. He has no idea. He never left hardly the Houston Heights. He has no idea the bigness of this because he's never had internet. He's never had anything.
If it's from coast to coast and from the border of Canada to Mexico, you better believe it's beyond Canada, Mexico.
Oh, it is.
And over in Europe. Look, Frank Sheldon, the
North Forks Island.
Where did he go? And he was never extradited.
Money. He went to Norway.
I thought he lived in Belgium.
Belgium, Norway, one of those countries. I hate to sound flip about that, but
I believe it was Belgium, and lo and behold, Belgium is where the Jacques Dutroux case fell.
There's a whole listing of everything that was going on in Europe that stems out from Francis Sheldon and the bust of a man by the name of Jerry Richards, who was part of the Sheldon crew. There's a whole, this would take me hours to explain, and I plan on doing more podcasts on it. But to the New Rochelle connection, Shapiro and Schomer were known to be running boys up to the Boston area. Boston is where NAMBLA started. Boston, I do believe, was one of the places that Roy Ames had, like, one of his warehouses that had 2 tons of child pornography in it.
Yeah, and don't anybody think it wasn't 2 tons, because if you read, it's incredible. Even it could be any one of our next door neighbors, and I don't want people to be paranoid, but if you read Dave McGrath's book, Outraged, he himself had been a victim of pederasty. New England law enforcement officer out someplace toward the Midwest. There was a couple that bought a home from a physician who used to be out in Connecticut, and with the parents sitting in the waiting room, he would abuse the boys. But that home he had out somewhere in the Midwest, I don't have the exact state, the couple decided, now we've made a bit more money, let's work on, I think it's the basement room. And they open and remove a decayed part of the wall, tons,
Yes.
still photographs and film came out. That's why when you say, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a syndicate, you better believe that there are people even in law enforcement involved.
There is totally, and the money, the law enforcement, judges. There's people up in I don't know if it was Boston. I don't have all my research, and I'm really unprepared for this conversation. I just wanted to talk to Rochelle. That there were child psychologists, dentists, judges, law professionals, also everybody that you could imagine is on this list. So who could these kids trust? Who could they go to? They could go to nowhere. But before I forget, I wanted to tie back to it was Dean Corll and Roy Ames, two of Corll's victims, the Waldrop brothers. When they went missing, their father said that he thinks the kids are over at Roy Ames's house, that he's a homosexual who likes to take pictures and films of kids, and he can't stop his boys from going there. No one went to Ames's house. No one did anything. And if one parent knows, other parents in that neighborhood knew too. You can't tell me they didn't. But then, if those kids are over at Roy Ames's like that, how did they end up in Corll's boat shed? Ask yourself that. So they all knew each other, whether Ames was taking pictures and Dean was doing snuff films with these kids, because Dean moved around a lot. I'm still charting that out. But things are overlapping where I think maybe he lived in one place and in another place he was doing things, films, snuff films, molesting kids, whatever. Yeah. Okay. That way, his home's clean. What are you talking about, my other place? I can't prove that yet, but I'm mapping it out. So I just want to say that, with Westchester having even the idea to call down to Pasadena and say those things that, hey, are your killing of boys related to my case up here? And with Rothstein saying Ace Brown knew Dean Corll, Wayne Henley, and David Brooks. Look at those notes, Eric. It's there.
Yeah, I know. I saw them.
He's got all three of them, though, not just Dean Corll. But if you look at that whole pipeline of boys was going on, and nobody. I don't think anybody had the power. Did they care? I can't say. I wasn't a parent in that time, and agreed, forensic evil. The Waldrop parents were really, really tremendously badly treated. So were some of the other ones. There's a cult that was operating down there, and they said, why don't you go look with the cult? I think not the Waldrops. I forget which ones it was. That's why I need to come back more prepared to talk on this. But,
Do you think Jeffrey Epstein is like a modern day John David Norman, supplying men with girls and like
Yeah, because of the fact you have to go back to the 70s. They did everything out of the back of magazines. They did everything, from things like that. They didn't have the internet. Phone calls, were expensive to make and whatever. So there's a whole distribution network of people doing the magazines, people getting the coupons, people making the list. The lists all disappear, miraculously poof, gone. Okay,
they always make everything disappear.
Forensics, we definitely have to do a show on this topic standalone. Because I find this Candyman, the clown, all this Gacy, Dean Corll type, I think there could be something there. And I'm no conspiracy theorist, but
you take oh boy, it's so wealthy, almost lost. You take even at one time you have a magazine and it has a subject about romance. And then you get on a mailing list about sexual enjoyment. And then that it opens up one door after the other, and it leads you to these illegal pederastic and pedophilic literature. Look at the people are compromised. Now, you know that big fellow who's into the paranormal. He wanted to see if there was anything paranormal on North Fox Island. But the most important thing is at the end of his film, this is why I become an anarchist, he states, it's documented. We hear about the police precincts with documents being lost in floods, the perennial floods everywhere. from coast to coast. The Federal Bureau of Investigation had a flood, and every photograph, audio tape, video, film, and all documentation regarding the Oakland County child killer and Frank Sheldon's North Fox Island was destroyed.
Well, didn't all the files related to John David Norman, like the Rolodexes and the files, didn't all that disappear?
All the names and addresses and that does, but I've got all the police reports, even from Colorado, and even his last arrest with the postal inspector. It's all very interesting. It's all going to get put out there. Okay, I just have to figure out how, because all this is very important, especially to help protect the kids, to make parents aware of how this is happening. And if your kid comes to you and tells you something, listen to them.
And that's how easy it is to do this day and age with the internet and grooming. It's very scary.
And that's one of Wayne's things too. You know, he wants to get out. Okay, he knows that he's in his heart, he's probably not going to get out. But his big thing is to get parents to listen to your children. Just listen to them and understand them. Don't get them in trouble. Help them. Because of the fact back then, you know, there's nowhere to go to. And even though nowadays we have places to go to, look at like Child Protective Services, they're compromised. You know, so where are you going to go? Who are you going to tell? There's no safe place for people to go. And unless you can do it in your own home and get adults involved and hope they're not compromised.
And get the information out there. Never give up. But, you know, you going back to Shapiro and Shoma, there was you had informed me of a document. I think we spoke about it together in an audio messenger, not on the telephone. It was a 10-year-old boy who was their pederastic victim, and they nothing happened to them. They get out of jail in no time, and that's because the higher ups are compromised. They're compromised, so they let them out, and let me also involved.
Let me get to Forensic of Evil. That's very true. And as I was getting ready to do my first podcast, starting in Texas, because it all seems to come from Texas, the same day I was doing that, I ran into another ring with lists and filing cabinets and everything else. And this was for 1975, and I haven't had a chance to go through that. But it was the same exact operation, only with different players. And it was I just sat there and I said, does the filth ever end? It just it redresses itself with a different name and goes on.
Right.
It is how.
And Conspiracy and Rena, does this not make you maybe reconsider what Rena and I don't mean that you have to reconsider it, but everybody, make us reconsider the names Rena and I have gone through in this show and the previous that Maury Terry has in all different groups. Doesn't it make you say that it is possible there were all these cult groups that he speaks of when it's revealed all these pederast and pedophile groups exist?
Okay, let's go back to, it was either Rothstein's paperwork or Maury Terry's paperwork. I know the Ace Brown paper had it, but I swear in a Maury file, or maybe it was more Rothstein, I'm minding my own business, reading through it, and all of a sudden the name Shapiro pops up, and what a nasty man he was and what this guy was doing. I'm like, well, wait a second, it's my Shapiro. What the heck? So go through those papers. There's a whole blib about Elliot Shapiro in them. There's somewhere. Seriously. So they knew.
Yeah, well, I think David Berkowitz might have known something about New Rochelle.
No.
No?
No. I emailed David.
Mhm.
And someone was nice enough to put me in contact and said go ahead and answer her. And even though that person and I don't speak anymore for good reason, I appreciated it. And he said he did not know Schomer or Shapiro, but gave me a lead to something else that led totally to something, and it was solid. I'm not going to discuss that right now,
No,
but
but that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Not that he knew them, but he knew that there was activity in New Rochelle.
no, it had to do. I'm sorry, I'm choking up my lung. I'm going to have to mute my mic, but no, it had to do with something else. It didn't have to do with any type of pedo ring in New Rochelle,
Nothing.
at least according to what he said.
But he gave you something else.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're doing fantastic work behind the scenes, conspiracy.
And I'm, if anybody wants to come talk to me on my podcast, it'll be coming up even more. I'll come back anytime.
I didn't
Please
even know you
ask.
were. I didn't even know you were doing videos. Didn't even
It's
know.
more of it was on my channel. I've got all sorts of conspiracy videos. I've got all sorts of missing kid videos. I've got
I'm gonna make sure I subscribe.
Listen,
Ames. Okay. And I got more missing kids. The other day I had some questions about Gacy and something I had read. So I called Mike Rossi. Gacy's one of his right-hand men, unalived himself back in the day in the 2000s. So I called Mike up and I asked him questions. And he gave me answers, and he told me to trust in all the documents I had because I told him what I had. And he said, trust the documents, that's the truth.
Wow.
So I'm trusting the documents, and I'm sorry, Mike, wherever you are, you're not going to like what I found. You're not going to like it.
And look, and this is what I've just found. I went into the privileged Rothstein file, and almost every name that we've been reading, Rena, comes from Rothstein. That's where he got it from. Dr. Schwartz, North Broadway, Dr. Garvin, Dr. Randall, Rosie's Bar, Richie Speranza, Susan Conway. This is Rothstein. And at the bottom, he writes, did Ace know Fran de Blasis? Can't make out, possibly, or de Blasis is Parma McCabe with a question mark. Did he know them? Yeah, so these names, the majority of the names, or a good quantity, a great many, came from what is known as the privileged files of Rothstein.
Well, that makes sense.
I'll have to find where he goes on or it went on about Shapiro, but I almost choked on my tongue at that point. So everybody knew. I was just like, and there's another piece of nastiest still alive in California, which I have a video on my channel. But what he had was so horrible, and I've been doing this for a while. It wrenched my heart out and made me cry, and I almost quit doing this. Wow. And I had to rethink everything I was doing. Okay, either I'm wholeheartedly in this because you can't pick and choose what it is, or I quit.
Okay, the word I couldn't make out, he writes it again. De Blasis's partner was John McCabe.
Right.
Forensic says, what about the Child Protective Services active in all these places? I found out so much about Westchester County Society of the Protection of Children.
Forensics. I'll give my contact information to Raina, and that way you get a hold of me, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Here it is. Guy who killed all new kids in Houston. Ace talks of knowing him, Dean Coral, and two friends were the perps.
Mm-hmm.
Firmed information are supplied kids to Loeba, Loeba, L-O-E-B-A, or lobes, the lobes, LOEBS.
That's a whole other subject.
Yeah. Well,
It's a rabbit hole within a rabbit hole.
Oh, this goes on. It's disgusting.
You have to do
And
it with patience. You have to stay focused on one before you go to the next. It could drive you crazy. Your head starts to spin.
I just want to give a tremendous shout out to someone I totally respect. And a lot of this would not be possible without this gentleman's work. There's a man by the name of Rand. I'm going to cry because he's done so much. By the name of Randy White, who's out of Toronto, who did so much of the background work on John David Norman, who did the background work on John Gacy, who has looked into so much of this. And he is just such a tremendous researcher. And he was doing this back in the 90s before we wouldn't even think about doing this.
Yeah.
So I think that we owe him a debt of gratitude and say, you know what, Randy, this one's for you. This when we bust out and get something moving on, that one's for you, Randy, because of the fact it'll become more apparent in what I do, how tremendous this man has been and where it's led to. And before I go, Randy, wherever you are, Godspeed, young man. You did kick-ass work. So thank you for having me. I'm going to go, but
thank you so much, Conspiracy. We'll have to definitely continue this conversation because that's a case I could get into.
Okay, excellent. And Eric, always good to see you. I'll talk to everybody later. I'll be in the chat. Okay,
Thank you,
take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And with that, Eric, I think we'll leave it there.
Oh, yeah.
We're just up to the 2.5 hour mark.
Well, sometimes, that's because we had a very special guest come in.
She does great work behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah. Very good work.
Never gets credit for anything either.
No. But others take her work and want to give them.
That's the best way to do it, Eric. And then no one's able to steal your work, right?
Yeah.
Like so many do.
Yeah. It becomes stolen when they take it from her and do not give her credit. They never want to give credit. And it also, when people do that, you had better believe that the problem is that they really insult the victims. They're insulting it's another way of insulting the victim, of saying it's all about me, not about your suffering. It's about me. Look at me. I want a gold star, and that's it. But
that was never my intentions.
No. Nobody's thinking of you like that. God forbid. Certainly not mine. The only reason why I want money is because I know that to do this the way I want to go out and search. I want to be able to, sometimes with money, you give a guy a few bucks on the side, not a few bucks anymore, and you get what you want, unredacted. I would love to get the psychiatric reports of Karen Ann Wallstrom. But, when the way our discussion, thank you. God bless you, Conspiracy Archives. You don't have to thank us. We thank you also. You see, this is the whole point, Rena, that, I lost my thought. It's so wealthy. But anyway, we may be having a very big show, you and I, with two guests that nobody would ever imagine would come to us. And I really think it's going, really think it, and honestly, if these two very kind people who've suffered, and it ends here, you're the only one who knows. It ends here. It can't be known elsewhere. If they do come, I think we will even be doing a service to them. And it will be an interview with them and questions that have never really, really been conveyed the same way, with the same compassion and feeling, yet broad spread in the area of crime. And I'm not going to say what my mind has told me is the truth about someone related to them.
Yep. I hope it comes to fruition, Eric.
Yeah. It'll really open up a great deal. It'll open up a great deal.
Lots more to come, Eric.
Sweetheart, this was a great show. Thank you,
And we'll
Glenn.
do part 3 very soon.
Evil,
Third and final segment.
Omega.
Thank you all in the chat. You've been very, very helpful. Very, very informative.
Herbal Tea.
Forensics, Steve,
Mhm.
Patrick, Leash, everybody.
Yeah, everybody. And we mean everybody. I wonder who else hasn't
And
been
we
named.
need more people to
Patrick Top.
join the chat. People from all sides are welcome, as long as you're not rude,
Well,
as long as you don't insult. Anybody's welcome over here.
yeah, well, they will be coming. They will be coming because when we turn this off, the most interesting information for me was that it was confirmed. It was absolutely confirmed. You're welcome, Patrick. That yes, Trachman was an accountant, and he worked also where Howell Sr. and Freund worked. I don't believe in coincidence, but neither. I just don't know what to say. But it is very eerie, the proximity of those three people. So anyway, God bless you, sweetheart.
All right, God's bless you, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep, gonna go have a strong cup of